and
Perfect.
I'll read all the questions. Hey, hold on. Here we go, everybody. Got to get the welcome to the Gospel of Two Wheels, where the coffee's hot, the bikes are fast, and your comments are absolutely ridiculous. We got Smiley Hansen, Chris Nelson, Dave Brayman, Todd Colton, Steve and Becky Peterson, Chris Nelson again. My shoulder's doing well, thank you very much. Lusa Islander coming in from Vancouver Island, Scott Copeland, Sawyer Llewellyn, Sandy Smith, 5280 James. It is awesome. We are here live with Tuner. This is Mr. Travis Flateau of currently Washington, and he's all over the place. The West Coast, we'll say. And he's the owner and inceptor of TBT Racing. And yeah, we're here to talk about dirt bikes, talk about suspension, talk about Baja, talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Travis, why don't you give us, we'll start this thing off with just a little bit of give me the 1 minute history of you and TBT Racing and dirt bikes.
I always joke that the business started me. I didn't start it. I've been working on riding dirt bikes since I was 4 years old. My godfather put me on one and might as well have shot me up with black tar heroin because I've been a dirt bike junkie since I was 4 years old. All I ever wanted to do was race dirt bikes. And when I was 14, I started rebuilding shocks and porting cylinders out of my buddy's garage. And when I was 16, I started racing motocross, and I used my dirt bike skills to pay for my dirt bike racing. And so it's been all encompassing. Took a couple detours helping my dad with construction company throughout the years. He recently retired, and then did NASCAR for a year. So did NASCAR car shocks for the 96 car and for Robbie Gordon. So it's been a great career, and really excited about the future of Army of Owners and the stuff that we're building together with guys like yourself.
Right on. Yeah, and you grew up in Washington, right?
Yeah, Washington born and raised, moved to California in 2004, and started building the brand down there and going. It was funny because everybody's like, oh, you're going to move to California and compete with RG3 and Pro Circuit and all those guys? I was like, yeah, why?
Yeah. Well, if you're going to be the best, you got to compete against the best, right? I mean,
That's right. I mean, it's like, how are you the best motorbike racer if you don't ever line up at A1? Like, it's, and you're never ready for it. So just jump in and go.
yeah. That's like my kid, he's moving up in the ranks racing. And fortunately, he's motivated to move. He wants to be the best of the best. But I have a lot of people like, I don't know if I want to move up and race with those fast guys. I'm like, dude, you're never going to get faster if all you do is race with guys that you can beat.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's neat, I guess, but you got to move up, until you're Ricky Carmichael, and there's no one that can beat you. But
Totally.
so that's awesome, man.
Everything in dirt bike racing is life, and life is dirt bike racing. It's the five people you surround yourself with. Well, who are you racing with? If you're racing with the novices, you're going to be a novice. If obviously you can't get off the couch, find a dirt bike, and sign up for A1, but you don't have to hold yourself back by always racing with people you're comfortable with.
Right, and riding with them. I find that a lot with guys. We get a lot of folks that either move here or come here to ride, on vacation. Are like, I want to get better. I want to learn, but I don't want to ride with fast guys. I'm like, dude, that's not how that works. Like, you got to come ride with us. Like, you don't want to ride with the asshole, excuse my language, fast guys that are going to be jerks about it. But to ride with some nice fast guys is a good idea. I mean, yeah, they're going to be way faster and they're going to be waiting at you every, turn or whatever. But that's who you got to ride with if you ever want to get any faster. Like I jumped into the deep end of the pool starting riding in Gunnison because everybody there was fast, and then I started riding with Fritz, who was arguably the fastest American in enduro at one point, and I learned real fast. It was let's see, guys. So quick thing. First of all, if you're watching live, thank you so much. Make sure you back out of the chat, hit the thumbs up, come back in. If you're just tuning in, this is Travis, the owner of TBT. TBT stands for Tuning by Travis, by the way. So he is who owns the overarching business that we are franchises of. So if you guys have suspension questions, please ask him. If you have any kind of questions, if you want to know about his beard, I mean, ask him that. Doesn't matter. whatever you want to know. um,
You gotta use the best damn beard wash by Duke Cannon.
There
And
you
then
go.
we use a little bit of beard balm with the brush. And then my barber, Jeremy Gann, who lives, his barbershop's right near my house. He keeps this baby up and under control every couple of weeks. So
I
it's a
love
process.
it.
So the beard started. So you met Justin Schultz when we were down at the Baja 1000 and Lee Belt. So Schultz's good buddy, who now lives in Florida, his wife ran the Laguna Beach Dance Academy, and so I got talked into being one of the grandpas in the Nutcracker production. And so for 3 or 4 years, me and Schultz and Humpy and everybody would get together, and there's 5 of us, one of Humpy's brothers, and we'd put on tuxedos and makeup, and we grew these huge beards out, like just about as big as this thing is, and of course this is all I can grow, and did the Nutcracker production with the kids, 5 shows. You know, it was awesome. But so that got me into the beard game in the winter. But I only run it in the winter. So as soon as it starts getting cold up here in Washington, I start growing a beard. So this year it was October.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how a lot. I've got friends, and I mean, my facial hair is just a function of me, whether I care or not, that week or month. But I got a lot of dudes that grow it out. Actually, my brother-in-law grows a mullet during the winter to keep his neck warm.
Keep his neck warm.
Yeah,
it's all functional.
It's absolute function. The '80s were all about function.
That's right.
Oh my gosh!
You didn't want your bangs getting in your eyes. That's not good.
Well, yeah, no.
So you guys get a
absolutely. Smiley Hanson says, "What's up?" So Travis, what is on the horizon now for TBT as a suspension company? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your plans, your goals, what that looks like?
Well, so I turned 50 this year, so being in business since I was 16, I don't even know how long that's been. It's been a minute. And my greatest joy in business is working with guys like you, with TBT's, our hashtag on some of the social stuff is Army of Owners. And I really enjoy being around other owner mindset people. I thrive in the personal development world. I've done a ton of that stuff. Go to a couple seminars, talk at a couple seminars every year. And so I really enjoy the concept of iron sharpens iron. And you and I can get at each other about being better. And I don't have to worry about hurting your feelings. If you've made it this far in business, you typically don't have any feelings. So it's pretty good. And I like that because I feel like we can accomplish a lot in the world when we work together like that. And I really like the core group of guys we're with right now and moving forward. And so I'm excited to expand. Our new franchise package is rolling out in January. We're going to be adding a few spots. We're looking for somebody in Florida, looking for somebody in Texas, and over probably towards the Carolinas. I think there's a good market, like south side of North Carolina, that area, Ohio. There's quite a bit of opportunity here in the state. And we've also got Muskin's brother, Mika, over in France that we're working with doing stuff. And Canada's tough, but definitely some international things that I'm working on. We're working on a West Coast race program to cover Grand Prix and Baja and the National Hare and Hound Series at a really high level for a manufacturer direct type deal. So I'm just really excited about the future and working with Army of Owners to build you guys up, serve you guys well, because we can serve more customers and have a better product. Because you'll go test something on your bike and be like, yeah, that's great. And then go ride it somewhere else and be like, yeah, it's medium, but it's really good in this terrain. So then we can have that setting available for a customer that might like that type of terrain. And then I data log everything in our computer program, plus my brain, which is a scary place to be when it comes to shims. And then, when you've got 11, like right now we've got 11 franchises that are kicking information back to me on a regular basis, and sharing stuff. Gil tries all kinds of crazy stuff all the time. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but it's good because we're trying things, and it's safe because it's a controlled environment. We never take a setting that we think is going to work and sell it to a customer. If you send your suspension into a TBT location, you are going to get a setting that has been ridden and raced by at least a few people, if not, multiple people. So, because each location does 600-700 sets of revalves a year, times 11, you're dealing with, what's that, 7?
Yeah, a lot.
That's a lot of suspension. Good God. I don't think I've done the math on that. That is a lot of suspension work. And that's, frankly, why I started doing what we're doing is I can't do that many sets of suspension a year and test and build a brand. Right. And I got tired of trying to hire employees that just wanted to show up and work periodically and not be the best. And, so then you get together our group and it's awesome. So all you guys are striving to be better human beings and better business owners and better husbands and better. And so it's like, well, cool. I can work with you guys and we can do stuff.
For sure. A couple questions here. Sawyer Llewellyn says, and this is just a general question, and this would be good for you to answer, is why custom suspension over stock? As technically as you're able, we all know that it's better, but give us the, like I said, I don't know, the 30-second to 1 minute. Why? What do companies do? Manufacturers kind of, what do they do? And to just pump out, because right, they gotta make thousands of bikes, right? And then so what is it that custom suspension does on the kind of the base level for an end user that makes it so much better?
Well, think about if you bought a car that came with a seat that was non-adjustable. Everybody's body is a different height, different weight, and then you factor in ability, which doesn't really come into play in the front seat of your car. But if they didn't have 75-way adjustable seats in a car, your car's not going to be very comfortable, right? You might as well sit on an egg crate or something. It's not that comfortable. So these bikes are produced for this elusive average rider. Guy on a KTM 150 should weigh about 165 pounds, maybe, and should be about like a junior level. And so they'll take a couple of those guys, go to the track with a suspension tuner that is in-house, that only works with test riders, doesn't work with the plethora of different people like we do. And then they come up with a setting and they put it in a bike and they go, okay, this is a production setting. So that's what you get when you buy a bike. Well, if you're 200 pounds and riding enduro on a 150, because that's what suits you or you really like it, it's not sprung right. It's not valved for enduro. It's nowhere near what you could really enjoy riding. And it's about comfortable and enjoyment. And nobody goes, well, there's only 5 people that race dirt bikes for anything other than enjoyment. And Ricky Carmichael and Villapoto is one of them. Villapoto always says you got to learn how to suffer well to be a champion. And that's the part of it, right? But if you're going to ride your motorcycle for the 99% of the rest of the population, you don't want to suffer when you go ride your motorcycle. So get custom suspension set up, by one of our TBT locations that has got the testing, has got like the right spring rates for your weight. We run into that a lot. I had a guy send me a bike the other day. He demanded that I put springs in there because he'd already bought them, because he looked at the spring chart and he knew what was best. And I did his bike, and he went out and rode it. And he calls me and he's like, "This thing's not good. I can't get any traction going up the hill and this and that." I said, "Well, bring it back. We guarantee all our work. I'm not going to charge you to fix it, but I am going to make you put the correct springs in there for our setting." And I got the stuff back. The rebound was at 8 clicks out on the rear shock. And I'm like, gosh, I don't know why it won't make any traction going up the hill. Didn't have enough preload on the spring because the spring was too heavy. So when he set his sag, just a nightmare of a setup. So put the correct shock spring on the bike, open the rebound back up, put it all back together, sent him out to ride it, and lo and behold, happy with the motorcycle. And so that's the difference between some guy online that claims to be a suspension guy that doesn't even do suspension versus dealing with us, who's got 11 locations worldwide, and guys like yourself that ride and race at least once a week, it seems like, watching your channel, but you're always on the bike. And so, like, it's good, right?
Right.
And that's the longer version of the short version of why to get your suspension done.
Right. And Big Chuck, we kind of touched on it earlier, but he said, why choose TBT over other big brands? I think the biggest thing that I can say is that army of owners, that wide group of people feeding stuff back up to Travis. I call Travis our mainframe, right? So we're feeding information back to the mainframe. So because when we do a setting, we give it to the customer, and we have clicker settings, recommended clicker settings to start, right, for the person. Person takes it out. I always, the way I deal with it is I'm like, listen, this is your starting point. We want you to ride it. Don't touch anything for a couple hours, but then, start clicking on it and see if you can make it better. And then as a shop, what we do, I call I don't personally, Leander does it usually, but we call every customer that we do any work to their bike, build a motor, change a tire, whatever. We call them a few weeks later and say, "Hey, how's everything going?" So with suspension, it gets a little more detailed, right? Like if it's your motor, is it blown up? No, okay, good. But like on suspension, it's like, okay, how do you like it? Ridden? Great. Okay, it's awesome. Where are your clicker settings? Like, what did it take to make it the best for you? And if someone says, I left it stock, the way it is, and I'm super fucking happy, great. So I'll tell Travis that. And then, but if someone's like, man, it was good, but I had to run it in, 5 clicks on compression and 3 on rebound and whatever, and that's the best for me, is like, okay, great. So then we feed that to Travis, who then, puts that into his scary brain and well, what do we need to adjust that to get closer to the middle, right? I mean, so that's why I think that's why I went, because as a shop owner slash YouTuber slash independent crazy man that I am, I could have done anybody, right? Like I didn't have to go with TBT. I could have gone to school myself. I could have whatever, right? I mean, I could have done anything I wanted. But I chose TBT because of that. As a also tuner, business owner, all that stuff, I chose that because it made way more sense in the end for a setting that's going to work for individuals instead of just a kind of a blah setting that may or may not be good. And someone mentioned Race Tech, and Paul Theed is a brilliant man. He built a brilliant business. He's making made a ton of money, but they're so outdated as far as their settings for off-road stuff that I don't know. I mean, what's Paul even do anymore? does he do anything?
Yeah, I'm friends with Paul. I see him quite often when I'm down at the California location. Louis Martinez down there is a good buddy of mine, and so I'm in Race Tech like once a week, harassing those guys and picking up a set of fork springs or something, or some odd part I might need. But yeah, I mean, it's when you rely on the computer to develop valving and extrapolate stuff, it works. I mean, I have that same technology, but because I ride and race all the time, and I've tested the computer generated stuff. You can go online and Google search like systems that will develop it for you. Like you can type in your stock valving setting, and it's from a technology standpoint, all the stuff. The difference with us is that we actually put the stuff in the bike, ride it, and tune it, and I don't know, like anybody that's tuned anything for any length of time, I have woke up in the middle of the night, grabbed a yellow notepad, and scribbled out the baddest ass supercross valving setting that you've ever seen. And then we went out, put it in, I got up early, put it in the bike, got the bike all prepped. The rider shows up at the track, takes one lap, looks at me and goes, "Are you trying to kill me?" Absolute garbage. So then I'm like, well, gosh, if what I think's going to be amazing sucks, then there's a probability that what I think is going to suck could be amazing. So then we test that too, right? And so that's where it just, technology is great, but you can't, it might sound kind of crass, but you're never going to replace us assholes.
Right.
Because the central nervous system that's hooked to said sitting on the seat of a motorcycle can tell you more than any computer. And when I was at NASCAR, I had a kid with 2 engineering degrees, one from Virginia Tech, not a dumb kid, arguing with me about what the shock dyno said about the shock. And I'm like, take your shock dyno and take your chassis dyno and put them on the track and race them, buddy. I got this thing called the stopwatch, and when I put a shock on the car and the stopwatch reads less numbers on it, it's better.
Yeah. 100%.
Period.
Yeah.
And so when we put a setting in your bike and you're hitting rocks and roots and wheeling this and smashing that, and your rear end tells you this is better, it's better.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what data says. I don't care what the dyno says. I don't care. The fastest 125 I've ever ridden, Mitch Payton built for Scott Sheik. It was an RM 125. The thing was brutal fast. If you put it on the dyno, it made 34 horsepower.
Right.
And anybody that's a dyno guy is like, that's slower than hell. I can get 42 out of them. Yeah, at what cost? The cost of acceleration, right? And well, then it's not as fast because in Supercross, particularly, you're trying to get from point A to point B the fastest.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm a big fan of what we do and guys like yourself that can actually ride and give me good feedback. And, it's just, it's great.
100%. A couple things. First of all, Roger Hurd says hi. Brady's on here. Lots of people. Nobby Side Down is his name. Says, what do you look for in shops to potentially represent your brand? Give us the short version of that. And by the way, guys, real quick, if you want more information on this, email me, morgan@highland-cycles.com. I'll type it in here. We can talk. I can get you in touch with Travis, all that stuff. So, this is not the end all be all of information, but give us an idea.
Yeah. So I'm looking for the right individuals, men or women. This isn't dudes only. It's not army of men. It's army of owners. And my friend Colleen, Ash, married to Rick Ash, she used to do suspension for George Quay. So there's plenty of gals in the business too. I'm looking for individuals that have thick skin and can deal with my snarkiness, and want to better themselves and like excellence. They embody excellence. They're up in the morning, they make their bed, and they rock and roll. And I can teach you how to do all the rest of the stuff. Finance is easy. Suspension business is easy. The branding is already done for TBT. You don't have to even do social media. All that stuff's handled as a franchise owner of TBT. So there's some finances involved to get into it. There's some training involved to get into it. It's not a super huge investment. If you're, got good mechanical knowledge, work on your own bike, and wanted to get into the thing, for under 50 grand, you can get started in business and do it really, really well. If you've got other resources and tools and you've got some of the stuff, it might be less. If you want to really do it well, it might be a little bit more, but that's a different conversation. We can have that. If it's something that's interesting to you, or that's calling your name, then, reach out to Morgan, send me an email, tuner@tbtracing.com. However.
For sure. I got a quick question, not suspension related. Hinder Tucky says 2024 TE 300 mild boil every once in a while. How important is adding a fan? Hate to add any weight. Love how dude. If you ride hard stuff regularly, just put a fan on the bike. The weight you're adding is not. It's negligible. Someone commented down below, like further down, is like, if you're worried about weight, eat less cheeseburgers or something like that. So like, I mean, maybe you're 3% body weight. I don't know, or body fat, but like I could easily, like, all the crap I put on my bikes, I could easily shave off of this frame. But put a fan on the bike. I used to be anti-fan because I was anti-slow stuff. I didn't ride slow stuff. I rode YZ250s and I rode them fast. Like I rode off-road, but I rode fast. I didn't ride hard enduro, right? That's what I liked, and so I was anti-fan because, like, why would you put a fan on this bike? Now that I do what I do and I'm kind of transitioning into that harder stuff and trying to get better at that, just put the fan on the bike. I mean, it makes sense, and there's a new fan coming out. I'm actually going to be testing on our beta, which is funny because it's a beta, but it's like beta testing at the same time. Anyway, is the beta a beta bike? That's the question. There's a new fan coming out from Extreme Parts. Some guys I work with that they're sending me. It pulls 12 watts, so it's like super, super low draw. And we're going to be putting it on that bike to test it out, because one of the problems with the KTMs /Husky /Gas European junk, and that's coming from a guy who rides them. Their stators are not currently, the new bike stators are stupid. They don't put out enough power. So if you want lights and of this and of that and of whatever, anyway, something's got to go. So, but yeah, new fan coming out. Stay tuned. Blah blah blah. All that stuff. But yeah, put the fan on the bike, dude. Just, you'll be happier. You'll save your bike. You won't, have a problem. So, let's see. Smiley Hanson, no commercials. Yeah, I don't know. Someone says there's commercials run. I don't know what that's all about. I'll sort that out. Sorry if there's commercials running on your thing. I don't know what's going on there. I'm not in control of a lot of things YouTube does. And Sandy Smith, lose weight before you ride, take a big dump. I like that. Let's see. Ditch the cheeseburgers, eat tacos. There you go. I like it.
Yes to tacos.
Yeah. Bike vault, just put a high output stator. That's the other thing. Quick note on these 23 300s, XCs and TXs. Ricky, I think it's Ricky, not Rick's. I forget.
Rick's Electric.
Well, it's either Rick's Electric or it's Ricky Stator. I can't remember which one, but one of them.
It used to be Ricky Stator, and he changed the name of it, I think.
Well, I think there's two companies. I think there's
there's two companies.
Yeah, no, there's two companies, and I forget which one. Anyway, I think it's Rick's is who rewound mine, but they'll rewind your stock stator, but it still only gets you 70 watts of extra power, spare power over the fuel and all the, engine management stuff, which is not a lot. So it helps. Blah. Anyway, whatever. Quick, actually, tuner, you'll be interested in this. I am working with Colite LED, which is who provided my big lights on my van. They are sending me these badass little 3-inch lights that have like a spot and a flood that are like white and then yellow. I'm going to build a race light setup with these things. Looking at them, I think we're going to be able to see the future. which is like, it's like, dude, they are so wicked. So everybody stay tuned for that. It's going to take some fabrication and some welding and some whatever to build a rack for them
Sure.
and all that stuff. But I'm super excited.
Cool.
Let's see, Harvey.
I
I had to hire
got
some. Go ahead.
I have a oh God. The rack that was on the WR. You can have that one for a test model. It's a little
Oh,
bent up, but
yeah, no, that actually, yeah, actually, that's perfect. I tested that thing and it held up well. Actually, I mean, honestly,
I'll donate. I'll donate that to the cause.
no joke. That would be sweet if you could send that to me. And I need my little phone mount back. I forgot about that. Let's see. Yeah, Harvey.
Oh, I wonder who.
It should be on the
We'll
bike.
no, we'll have to put that on the WhatsApp. I don't know. Somebody took it off.
Oh, okay, whatever. I mean, it's not that.
I'll get it.
Harvey Bowman said I had to hire someone to swat tacos out of my hands. So a personal trainer, just like keep knocking tacos. Oh, so good. Let's see, making sure I don't miss anything. Yeah. So anyway, keep Counter Shocks. Who bent it? We all know who bent it. Nathan. Counter Shocks, by the way. That's Nathan, one of my chase guys. Hi,
Nathan.
My collarbone would tell you who bent it, but but we're doing well. I'm feeling good. Like the collarbone's feeling good, the legs feeling better. We're gonna be back at it very, very soon. And working on the next Baja effort. Let's talk about that real fast. We don't have too much time left here. Baja effort. What you said, talking about doing more Baja stuff. What's the plan there, Travis?
Yeah, we're gonna field another 30 and a 40 team for next year. Working on some stuff with Liebelt. Liebelt's wanting to kind of retire out of being the main boss guy, so I've been in talks with Jeff at Baja Bound about continuing on with that, and I'm not sure what Schultz wants to do. Both his kids are younger and in sports, and so both those guys just have a lot of involvement outside of trying to put together a Baja effort. And so I really enjoy it. Been with those guys for 9 years, and just, I'm in talks with some factory guys about bikes, and, worst case scenario, if we don't get the factory deal put together, we'll just go buy some new WRs and probably run on the 24 WR platform.
Which is
so
bike.
Oh, I think it's gonna be good. We're gonna use that same fork that we've been running, the open chamber factory KYB fork. We're gonna run that on the Baja bike still in the future. We've got 4 or 5 sets of them that I can refab and go on the 24 YZ. It's gonna take some R&D. Fuel obviously is gonna be still a tight issue with the not being able to get much of a bigger tank for it, but I think we'll be able to build a real nice platform out of it. So with the new frame. So
yeah, I think that.
But yeah, definitely
going
to be on the 30 and 40 bike for for Baja for this next year. I think we got a really solid group of guys, starting with our core group from this last Baja 1000 with the Army of Owners, and it won't be just a strictly Army of Owners team. It'll probably have several of you guys that are owners on it. And for the 1,000, it just takes more guys, so we'll have a couple extras in there as well.
One guy asked twice. I got to make sure I ask you. Roger Neff asked about back to suspension. Do you use data acquisition equipment? I think I already know your answer, but we are the data acquisition equipment. But
yes, Morgan's bunghole is part of my data acquisition system.
Yes. And then Roger Hurd wants to know if you have a handicap team.
Roger, Shaky is invited to come hang out with us at any of the motorbike races, and Roger has been a dear friend of mine for a long time. I don't see him near as much as I want to and used to, but yeah, we can do something. We'll put you on we'll put you on a pit crew. You can run a microfiber on goggles because you don't have to try, and you'll be able to just.
Yes. Roger, by the way, are you going to come meet us down in Phoenix when we come down there in February? You should.
Yeah, that's totally close for him.
Yeah, we need to talk about that because I need to see you.
Yeah.
And yeah. But by the way, guys, we're making fun of Roger because he is a very close friend. He's got Parkinson's, and we do not exist in the woke world. We joke about things like that because we're actual normal.
Totally. Roger has done a lot to help. One of my passion projects is called Athlete Outreach, and it's for guys with multiple concussions and the help and recover from the side effects of multiple concussions. And so if you guys know people struggling with that or want to learn more about it so you can prevent being like that, hit me up on any of my platforms personally, or the business is fine too. But one of the big things, when you back in the day when Roger was racing with Factory Kawasaki and some of our other buddies down in Mexico and locally, you'd get a concussion and then you'd go race the next day, or you'd even get up and finish that race. You just, kind of rub some dirt in it. And, know what we know now, 30 years later, we're like, holy cow, that's a bad idea. And there's a lot of good information for that. Abbott's got a good test out, Abbott Medical. It's an oral test that everybody should have for testing for concussion. Rule of thumb, if you see Tweety Bird, your nose smells funny, or you've lost consciousness, you've had a concussion. And a neurologist is the right person to diagnose that, not your local pediatrician. So many parents just absolutely mortify me with, oh, their pediatrician said they'd be fine. And I'm like, the pediatrician is not a neurologist, moron.
Yeah.
Like, you need a brain scan. You need to do some homework and take care of your brain, because down the road it's gnarly. And it hurts me to see everything that Roger's gone through on his journey, and it's being used for good because people get to hear about his story. He's got a YouTube video on it, and it's going to change motorsports long term, change football long term. I'm trying to get with Beast Mode, Marshawn Lynch, because I know he struggles with it just based on the stuff I see outside of it. And he's an avid dirt bike rider. James Stewart and him are buddies. He's got a Husqvarna 450, I think, still. I'm not sure if that's what Beast Mode's riding these days, but it hurts my heart to watch guys struggle with that. And so if you guys know somebody struggling, or you want to learn more to help be able to be helpful to those kind of people, and just our sport in general, I think needs more education on hydration and the safety of helmets, because not all helmets are created the same. And I'm not going to go on my soapbox about which helmet to wear, but data's data when it comes to force reduction. And there's 3 helmets out there that I will wear, and I won't wear any of the rest of them, because you might as well not wear a helmet, because at least you're not being protected.
Right. Yeah, you ride different.
Well, yeah. You should always ride like you're naked and then wear the protection.
Right.
Like knee braces. I've worn CTI2 knee braces since I was 14 years old, and knock on wood, and I don't like talking about that stuff, but ride like you're naked and then wear the protective equipment.
100%. And if you need a martini, Roger is your guy.
100%. Shaken, not stirred.
Shaken, not stirred.
Love you, Roger.
Oh, yeah, Roger, we love you. Like, the first time I met Roger was in Mexico, racing the 2010 1,000 with him. And
oh, yeah.
And he... I had heard all this stuff, like, oh, he's got Parkinson's, I knew his sister, Denise. People kind of like preparing me for this guy, right? And I'm thinking, oh, God, I got to walk on eggshells and not say anything stupid. Don't be in it. And I think the first thing he said is like, if you need a drink mix, let me know. And it's like, I was like, okay, I can get along with this dude. And we've been very close.
He's got the best attitude. I love it.
Yeah, it's hands down the best. Let's see. Quick, will be the last question we take off of this. Sorry if I missed anybody, guys. As you guys know, who've been watching this show for a lot of years, it's busier and busier. But also, if you're watching this later, please comment your questions below. Subscribe to the channel, blah, all the YouTubey things. But comment your questions below. I will make sure Travis gets those questions, and I will answer them all. So make sure you do that. But Chris G, let's see, says 23 TX300. He's a mid-pack C rider. I do about 50-50 single track, woods, and MX. Is it possible to set up the suspension to be good for both, or will it have to be biased towards one style of riding? What is your answer on that, tuner?
Our GP setting would do well for both. It's going to be a little soft for moto and a little firm for some of the more technical off-road like hard enduro. You could click it around and probably get it where it serves you well. As you progress as a rider, you're going to want to have a motocross bike and a hard enduro bike and an off-road bike or baja style bike, because when you set the bike up particularly for the type of riding that you're doing, you're not compromising. You've got a very specific bike. Like when we go to Mexico, we go to Mexico with a Mexico specific bike. Like I would not take it on the motocross track. I would not take it in the woods. Although I have trail ridden with Larry Rossler on our WR Baja bike, and it was pretty spectacular. But there's a lot of slow, rocky stuff down in Mexico, or slower, rocky stuff.
Right.
Like, 20 mile an hour stuff. So, short answer is yes, we can build you a suspension that'll work really good for both. It's not going to be excellent at any one thing, but it'll be better than stock, and you'll like it a lot, and you'll learn how to adjust, softer for hard enduro, a little firmer for motocross. Especially if you do like a KYB conversion, that fork's a lot more adaptable. You can, like Dave Sheets up in Washington runs a setting that he can click it into like 8 clicks and race it or ride it at the motocross track on an open practice, doesn't race it, and then soften it back up and go to Tahuya and beat rocks and tree roots with it with his buddies. So we have those settings. They're not for everybody, obviously, because it's not specific.
Yeah, and that's what actually kind of my 300 XC is set up like that right now. It's very good at lots of things. I don't race motocross. I don't even go to a motocross track, but I do ride fast desert on it, and it's good. But that's to what Travis was saying to his point. This bike, that XC now that I'm getting the beta, I'm gonna set it up specifically for GP hair scrambly fast stuff, and then the beta is gonna get turned into the hard enduro bike, because that's what betas I think do better. To me, betas are very nervous at speed. Someone asked about a steering stabilizer before on a TX or an XC or something like that. I don't feel like I need a steering stabilizer on my XC. I think the thing is pretty stable at speed, and it's one less thing to have on the bars and all that. I kind of like a clean cockpit. So I don't want one. I don't feel like one. But if I were going to try to race a beta fast, I would absolutely have a steering stabilizer on there, because they're terrifying at speed. They're just, the geometry of the bike is very small, short. Anyway, but I'm not going to build it like that. So I'm not going to be putting a stabilizer on it. It's going to be getting built just for hard enduro, and that's what I'm going to ride on it. Obviously, I'll take it and ride it, wherever, but I'll know in my mind not to try to go blitz a set of whoops on it. So, all right. Yeah. Guys, we are out of time. Thank you guys so much. Travis, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you very much.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys check out tbtracing.com. Call me if you need any suspension work. Go to the website, see if you got a closer person to you. We try to send everybody to the right people, right? Like, if you're back east, I'm not going to do your suspension. I'm going to send you to talk to Nico, whatever. So,
the very top of the website, just click on the building icon and it'll take you to all the different locations.
Absolutely. Right on, guys. I love you guys. Get out, spread the gospel of two wheels, and as always, I hope that what we're doing is inspiring you guys to work on, but way more importantly, get out and ride your dirt bikes!